Hello one all, it's my new Dr. Stone, Chapter 140, New World Pilots. And while I have a whole lot to say about this, I just want to point out something Ricardo Pelmedice said in the comments section down below. Back in Chapter 115, as Senku's father lay dying, for one brief panel we see the satellite off in the distance, and I remember reading that first time around thinking, oh, he's hallucinating, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, oh, maybe it's still up there all this time. But no, that's Ray, who rebuilt the space station from the ground up long before Reboot came out, and I absolutely freaking love it. I mean, for this series, it's just so obvious the author has put in so much detail and focus and foreshadowing on so many things. I mean, I'll never forget when they said that Soyuz had no name. I'm like, he had no name? Wait, didn't we hear all the people's names way back when Senku first got to the village? I went back to that chapter. No name under him. No idea how I missed that, but yeah, so this series just does such a great job of building things up and foreshadowing. I mean, seriously. Senku's first big dream was to go to space, to go to the moon, and now he's setting up to go to the moon. And I just love how everyone's reaction to that isn't shock or horror or anything else. It's just like, yeah, that makes sense. It seems like something Senku would tell us to do next. We were more shocked by it than they were. They have more faith in Senku than we do, apparently. Love it. I do love sweet little Suka, like, ooh, the moon. But how? And Senku's line right here. Via the Kingdom of Science old maxim, diligent, painstaking, step-by-step work, which, yeah, that sounds about right. Nothing they've built has been easy or simple. It requires, step after planning after step, trying to just make things work, trying, failing, trying again. It's literally the epitome of science. And Kohaku's line here is probably my favorite. But now that we know our foes on the moon, will we accept our fate and wait around to be destroyed? No. We've never been the type to lay down and die. Yeah, very true. Even when your sister was literally laying down and dying, you did everything you could to save her. You actually did save her by giving her the hot spring water that literally saved her life. So you're not giving up anytime soon. Love that about you. Ryo. Haha, so in this new world, we even desire the very stars in the sky. Not that surprising for you, Ryu. You desire literally everything in the world. That's what I love about you. So with stars, that's not too much of a stretch. Chrome's just a little overwhelmed. Bad. Science is just so bad. And Taiju I really like here. Building rockets is basically Senku's specialty. Tell me what we gotta gather up, buddy. And that's just so true. I mean, these two basically became friends building a rocket ship together. So this is a really good moment for them to, build another one, only way, way bigger. But Senku's response is a little unexpected. We're gonna collect materials from all over the world. This New World moon landing project is a go. All over the world. I mean, I'm a little confused about what exactly is left all over the world for them to, go collect. I mean, for the most part, they've basically found everything needed in Tokyo to get this far. I'm not sure what other requirements can be built. Plus, he said collect materials, not resources. If he said resources, I could see him saying, okay, we need to collect rubber from the rubber trees and kumbaya, and then we also need to go to NASA, wake up all the scientists we can find and have them help us rebuild it. I mean, even with Senku's brilliant mind and obsession with space, I don't think he's qualified to build a fully functioning rocket ship, launch it to the moon, and then find a way to bring it back. That just seems like a step above even for him. So we need more people. We need engineers, scientists, astronauts, somebody to give us a hand here. We also have a quote here from Robert H. Goddard, who created the world's first liquid-fueled rockets. It is difficult to say what is impossible. For the dreams of yesterday is the hope of today and the reality of tomorrow. Which, fairly accurate. I mean, at the start of the series, I definitely didn't think, oh, within 5 years they'd be building rockets, but here they are building rockets, so good on them. I'm curious if this is going to be what the rocket ends up looking like that Senku builds. I honestly don't know enough about rockets to say if that's the case or not. Anyway, then they all go around reviving everyone they can find. I do love they put the privacy seaweed around them before they revive them. Though even with the seaweed on, Jinro looks a little, too happy to be reviving a naked girl. I mean, he's also at the same time bragging that he's the one that created the revival fluid, but still a little too happy in that moment. And Matsukaze is just so impressed by all this, saying he wished they had this technology when the devices first rained down upon them. And yes, it was actually multiple devices that all rained down. And I'm still very, very, very confused on exactly how they figured out how to use these devices. I mean, it feels like that'd be a lot of trial and error and a lot of petrified people before you really figured out what you're supposed to do. Also, I think you're supposed to give the instructions in English. I think that's what that whole bracket thing means. So, do they know English? I mean, I think the astronauts spoke English on the space shuttle, but the 100 Tales are in Japanese, so is everyone on Treasure Island, Ishigami Village, bilingual? I don't know, that'd be very strange. I would like a little clarification on that. But we also get confirmation, at least as far as he knows, that Matsukaze's lord saw the destruction of all the petrification beams, all except the one held by the brigands. Not gonna lie, I had to look up that word. It basically means bandits, so does that mean that Soyuz's great-great-great-grandfather was the leader of an army of bandits who took over the island and killed Matsukaze's master to become the head of the island? Or does that mean at some point Soyuz's grandfather, great-grandfather, whatever, went out, killed the bandits, and took the petrification device for himself? I'm a little unclear on the backstory there. I mean, quite frankly, I wouldn't mind a whole, another spin-off explaining all that. Though all this reviving does hurt Soyuz a little bit because, his own father can't be revived because he's missing half his face. I really hope he doesn't try to revive him at some point because that would end just so absolutely badly. I mean, maybe theoretically it might be possible in like 50, 60 years to bring him back once they've advanced medical technology beyond what we have right now and they can sew up his face before he bleeds to death. But even then, I'm thinking he's missing a good chunk of his brain, so that seems unlikely. But all this depression is kind of overwritten when Soyuz realizes he has an entire freaking army loyal to him. Oh, I love that. I love it. They refer to him as Master Soyuz. Even the big guy is bowing down in worship of this man. Oh, it's just so perfect. Sometimes monarchies work. Sometimes when the people are absolutely loyal to the royal bloodline, it's a good thing. But this also triggers a bit of sadness in Senku because he's looking at his own father's grave here, the Soyuz capsule, and I just love that Kohaku was able to read his mood here and follow him out to it in the middle of the night. I know everyone was freaking out about that hug 2 chapters ago, but I think this means a little more. Her being able to read the mood of the indomitable Senku and knowing exactly what he's planning on doing. And, Senku is a little disappointed there's really nothing left of the Soyuz capsule. I mean, he knew in his mind that there wouldn't be much left, that would have just all rotted away, but really seeing the last fragments of his father just turn to dust, essentially, just took a real toll on him. And now Kohaku has to give him a lesson about science, which I just love. You, me, everyone, we're all doomed to die and turn to dust. But our hopes and dreams get passed down and polished, connecting us to the future. That's what humanity calls science, right, Senku? Oh my god, I love that moment. It's just so absolutely true. I mean, it's a lesson we've seen time and time again in this series, especially in the battle between Hyoga and Mose. I mean, you wouldn't really call the techniques Hyoga learned science, but that's exactly what it is. Each generation improving a little bit and making it a little better, becoming a little bit stronger, and passing on to the next so they can keep improving, so they can keep growing stronger. That's literally what science is. And Senku's father and the rest of the astronauts did the same thing. They left the world for Senku to inherit, and now the island has officially been named Treasure Island. Which, if I remember correctly, is actually what they were calling it in the first place before they found out it was basically a death trap. So I like that. Anyway, then we have the grand departure, and Soyu decides he's going to stay on the island, which makes a whole lot of sense. His photographic memory was definitely useful to Senku for a time, but now it seems like he can do more good on the island, especially since he's the master of the island, and he's memorized the formula for making revival fluid, which even Jen is shocked by. But now he's going to use it to revive everyone and become a true leader of the island. Amaryllis is staying on the island too, which I guess shouldn't be too surprising, but she's been such a key member of this group for so long, I kind of forgot that this island was her home. I'm kind of curious if they'll be able to find her friends who were petrified when she was younger, if they'll be able to dig them up. That would definitely be an interesting reunion. I kind of want to see that too. But thankfully, Kirasami is not staying on the island. Under the orders from her master, she agrees to go follow Senku and his gang, giving him the aid of a fierce warrior against whoever might oppose them. And Jinro decides to do the same, but in the most absolutely disgusting and vile way imaginable. Which, oh, Jinro, I really liked you. You were so good in a dress. Can we please go back to wearing a dress? You were more manly, braver, stronger, and more noble wearing a freaking dress. How is that possible? So once again, they have a heartfelt goodbye and they set sail, and there's a bunch of tears and waving, and I mean, even the big guy seems kind of sad to see them go and is waving goodbye, which, little confusing there, little bit confusing. Thankfully, though, they put up a radio antenna before they left, which I just absolutely love, so they can keep in contact with everyone. Though that also means the Y-Man can contact them pretending to be Senku again, so probably gonna need a password or something, like, if I call and start acting strange, ask me for the password. The password is Pythagorean theorem, or something else crazy Senku would come up with. And even if we end up crazy far apart, those waves of science will keep us connected. That's how the kingdom of science rolls. As we see all the astronauts one last time, they're still connected to them through this island, through the science they pass down. Alright, now the globe-trotting adventure begins to pick up allies and other stuff. So they are reviving allies. I'm just really curious what the other stuff is. I'm gonna assume they're going to, was it South America, where the petrification beam first launched? So maybe that's something there they can find that's gonna be useful. I'm not sure. And there's a lot of debate back and forth about what exactly their spaceship is gonna look like. Of course, Ryu wants it to be a big, beautiful luxury cruise liner. Very unlikely. Chrome thinks it's going to be a hot air balloon, but bigger, which makes a lot of sense for him to think that. They realize he's going to have a very limited crew, so maybe only like 3 people. First off, the pilots. That's Ryu, obviously. Unless they manage to wake up an actual astronaut at some point who has hundreds of hours of simulator training and has actually been to space multiple times. Ryu is definitely the best bet they're going to come up with. And next, they'll need the best scientists of the day whenever they finish the rockets. And everyone's like, oh, it's Senku. Obviously Senku. It's going to be Senku. But I'm not so sure anymore. The way he says it kind of makes me think it might be Chrome or someone else or maybe another scientist he wakes up. I mean, I'm not saying Senku's not going to go to the moon. He's obviously going to go to the moon at some point. But I don't know. Just the way Senku worded that kind of makes me think maybe it won't be him. I mean, I feel like he needs to go. He needs to be part of this. At the same time, just, I don't know. I'm curious about that. And finally, they decide they need someone who's strong. Someone who's really strong. And I do love Magma wants to have another grand bout tournament. And we also see Kirasami Mutsukaze behind him. Yes, all 3 of you are very strong, and I would love, absolutely love, a new grand bout tournament between all the strongest fighters we have now, because that would be absolutely freaking amazing. But Senku has someone else in mind. The strongest primate high schooler, Tsukasa Shishio, and it's finally time to bring him back. It's finally time to wake up the strongest man in the world. I cannot wait for that. And once more, we flash back to the promise he made the day he met Senku. Minutes after waking up, I can make you one promise. You two will never be in danger again. From now on, I'll do the fighting. And just such an absolutely amazingly perfect line. Once again, such great foreshadowing. Because at the time, it seemed like he was more of a threat and he would end up putting them in more danger than he saved them from. But now that he's coming back, he's going to make sure Senku's never in danger again. Even if he has to go to the moon and fight thousands of robot army, cyborg, bionic, mannequin, something, he's going to kick all their butts because he is the number one. He is the strongest fighter in the world, and I cannot wait to see this. Senku also finally decides to name the petrification beam. It's not the petrification device, it's not Medusa. It is instead Dr. Stone. Yes, indeed. The device is now being called Dr. Stone, which is just such an absolutely perfect title for it. I mean, all along we were assuming Dr. Stone was referring to Senku, you know, the doctor of science, but he doesn't have a doctorate, so therefore it's referring to this device that turns people into stone. Somehow this makes this entire arc so much better. The search wasn't just for the device that can turn people into stone. It was for the namesake of this entire freaking series. Alright, so next chapter, I guess they're going home. They're gonna, you know, see everyone, say hello. I'm sure Suka's friends were worried about her when she disappeared. I mean, did she even tell anyone to go feed her dog and her pig for her? That feels kind of important. But yeah, a lot of heartwarming reunions, and then it's time to wake up the big guy himself. I'm just hoping nothing goes wrong with it. I mean, he is frozen, so not sure how that's going to affect the petrification process. I'm kind of worried he's going to shatter into a million pieces, and they're going to have to essentially put him back together. I mean, they have the manpower for it, but that would still be very traumatizing for his adorable little sister, who I absolutely love. I can't wait to see more of his little sister. She's so cute. Mirio's her name? Yeah, Mirio or something like that. And just, you know, telling everyone what the next step of the plan is. It's time to go to the freaking moon. Hopefully Senku also explains exactly what it is they're scouring the world for, what supplies, resources that could still be around that they need. I mean, they have oil, they have metal, they need more metal, they need to start up like a whole nother metal mine. But I feel like doing that on a distant island away from all the resources would be very difficult and time consuming, so I'm not sure about that. And I guess they can start making as much revolve fluid as they want, which that's going to be interesting. A lot more manpower and resources, but I feel like first things first, they should kind of, you know, set things up for the new people, like housing and all that, so they have somewhere to live as soon as they wake up. I don't know, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very time-consuming process. I mean, there's just a whole lot to do when they get back, and I'm very excited to see all that. Let me know down below. Is waking up Sukka's gonna be easy? It's gonna be hard. It feels like a lot of foreshadowing buildup. I feel like it's just gonna shatter as soon as they try it. I mean, they've never, petrified and unpetrified a frozen person before. I'm not even sure that's gonna work. I mean, there's a reason we don't freeze people today, because it would kill them. So, yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Let me think all down below. Be sure to like, subscribe to this video. Until then,
Peace.